At 6, dozens are rescued and major incidents are declared as the UK grapples with floods, snow and ice. Near Leicester, one woman is trapped in her car. As the waters rise, she's pulled free just in time. Hello there. After a weekend of appalling weather conditions with heavy snow or icy rain falling across much of the UK, 3 yellow weather warnings for snow and ice remain in place. Hundreds of schools were closed today and there were continuing problems on the roads and railways, with air travel also disrupted. But for other areas, as the weather's turned a little milder, the problem is now flooding, with 160 alerts and major incidents declared across Leicestershire and Lincolnshire. Well, Navtej Johal is in Great Glen near Leicester with news of one woman involved in a dramatic rescue from a car. Navtej.
Yes, Clive, Leicestershire appears to have borne the brunt of the flooding impact over the last 24 hours, and the abiding image is likely to be of the rescue of that woman from this car. Now, the Fire and Rescue Service have commended the man who performed that rescue, but are reminding people to call 999 if they see somebody in trouble. But as the man who performed that rescue told me earlier, he was just thinking, I have to get this woman out of that car. The moment a woman stranded in her car in rising floodwater was rescued by a passerby. She'd got into trouble in the Leicestershire village of Great Glen this morning, a place hit hard by the heavy rainfall overnight. How are you?
Good.
Oh my gosh.
Now, yes.
How are you feeling?
Oh, now I'm good. Yeah, I got changed again. That's 5th time.
5th time you've changed clothes? And
Yeah.
this is the man being hailed as a hero. Chimi Kazizi owns the now flooded pub next to where the rescue took place. What was going through your head? Because that was a potentially very dangerous thing to do.
So I was just thinking, like, get the person out from there. That's what I was thinking only. So I thought nothing. I thought just to grab. If you stayed there another 15, 20 minutes, she would have died or she would pass away.
She said that if you hadn't, if you hadn't rescued her, another
right.
15, 20 minutes later, she might have died.
Yeah.
The woman, who's asked to remain anonymous, says she's now fine and has thanked Chimmy and other local residents for their help. Were you scared?
Not at all. Absolutely no fear. Fearless. No, I got no fear. No.
Were you even thinking about it?
Absolutely not. I was just thinking to get that person out from the car. Absolutely no fear. I didn't feel my body if it was cold, frozen, frosty. No, zero. Completely zero.
Leicestershire Fire and Rescue Service declared a major incident across the county and Rutland today and says it's rescued dozens of people caught out by the flooding.
In excess of 200 calls in fire control, and every appliance across the county was out at some point throughout the day, responding to various different incidents, from vehicles in flooded water, flooded properties, rising water levels.
Leicestershire is one of the places hit hardest by the weather over the last 24 hours. But there's been disruption across the Midlands to roads and railways. Dozens of schools have been closed across the region, and nearly 100 flood warnings still remain in place across the East Midlands. The advice from the authorities has been to avoid driving through floodwater and to check routes before travelling.
I'll have a chicken sandwich.
With many vehicles unable to cope in this weather, some have chosen to be creative, like this paddleboarder in a supermarket car park. Navtej Johal, BBC News, Leicestershire.
The situation there in much of the Midlands. For communities in the north of England and Wales, it's been another day of heavy snowfall causing disruption. Danny Savage has more from North Yorkshire.
After more than 24 hours of heavy snowfall, it was tough out on the Pennine Hills today. On a B road above Wharfdale, some cars struggled to get through. So we all got out and pushed him up, which then allowed the gritter to finally come through. Lots of high roads were in a similar state across a wide area of northern England and southern Scotland. Spare a thought though for hill farmers. Michael was crisscrossing the valleys around Malham today, feeding his flock, most of which are expected to lamb next month. He was rescuing some of them from drifts too.
Quite rough really, very cold, very rough, and when the wind's got up it makes it a lot worse obviously, because it's blowing the snow into drifts. And then the sheep are under the drifts and you've got to get them out.
So have you been digging your sheep out?
Well, just several this morning, that's all that we're missing. So that was okay, I found those, so I've got them to the feed wagon and to feed and hay and everything, and they should be okay now.
And this is perhaps the main problem now on high ground in the Pennines. drifting. This is about 5 or 6 feet deep. It blocks roads, obviously, but it also ends up with animals underneath. This is where some of the sheep belonging to Michael had to be dug out from earlier.
Elsewhere, hundreds of schools were closed because of the snow. Lancashire, Yorkshire and North East Scotland were worst affected. Manchester Airport has been closed, open, closed again and reopened in the last 24 hours. There still could be some delays due to planes being in the wrong place. Back in Malham, the focus was on keeping warm. Simon was getting through with his log deliveries.
Yeah, you've got to try your best to try and fulfil your orders if you can, but sometimes it can be a bit challenging.
Yeah, about there somewhere, Stuart.
And his customers were grateful.
We still have 2 or 3 days supply left, so if Simon hadn't got to us today, you know, it would have been starting to sweat by about the end of the week, you know.
The snow isn't likely to go anywhere for a good few days. Freezing temperatures are forecast here until the weekend. So some of the worst affected areas would have had nearly 36 hours of snowfall up until this morning. And although it's sort of been cleared on the roads down here in the lower lying areas, there's still plenty of it lying around. And you don't have to go too high to find those roads still blocked by snowdrifts and some isolated farmhouses and communities still cut off. Going forward, I think the main problem over the next few days, the forecast is to be extremely cold, sunny during the day, clear at night. Temperatures on some of the weather apps are saying -9, -10 on Wednesday and Thursday night later in the week. So the extreme cold is going to be the problem. The main event is over, but the effects will be felt for several days, Clive.
Now, the UK's Health Security Agency has also extended a cold health alert until Sunday over concerns of more freezing conditions ahead. Martha Fairley has the latest.
The aftermath of days of wintry weather, melting snow and rain combining to create life-threatening flood conditions. Major incidents declared this morning, first in Leicestershire and Rutland, and then Lincolnshire.
Don't worry, we'll be fine. Yeah, my friend is coming.
The driver of this car had to be rescued from the rapidly rising floodwater. A local restaurant owner wading through chest-high water to carry her to safety.
I just thought, just go. Just like run and get out, you know. So it is danger, but I believe that everybody will do the same. I can't even hear her words. I don't want to even hear her when she's talking about she's grateful for her life because she would have passed. She would have gone. She would have gone in 15-20 minutes probably.
Children's Christmas presents, less than 2 weeks old, are now ruined after flooding hit the Cooper family's Leicestershire home for the second year, almost to the day.
Obviously, for my children, they've just had Christmas and my son's had his first birthday on Boxing Day and they've lost all their new toys. And it's, you know, they are just possessions, we are okay, but to them it's everything. So it's really sad, really sad.
Fire and rescue services received hundreds of calls for help as the water levels rose. But residents in Shirley have seen this frustrating and all too familiar problem before.
I've lived here a long time and it's been through my house twice, but we don't get much support because we're right on the boundary between Worcestershire and Solihull and nobody takes, you know, responsibility.
Trains were also affected. Services between London and Sheffield cancelled because of flooding on the line between Derby and Long Eaton. Further north, challenging conditions of a different kind. A fresh fall of snow overnight in County Durham brought fresh misery for drivers this morning.
I'm not going to rush until sort of mid-morning and let everybody hopefully get out the way. So.
The most hardy and determined were up early, preparing to do battle with the elements. But it was soon clear that in many places, no one was going anywhere.
There we go, a few bodies down here.
Farmers, police and mountain rescue services all pulling together to free stranded drivers on this exposed road. What should have been the first day back at school turned into a snow day for many children in northeast Scotland and northern parts of England. As the thaw continues, flood alerts and warnings remain in place across large parts of England and Wales, along with yellow weather warnings for more snow and ice, making travel challenging in much of the country by almost all means of transport. Martha Fairley, ITV News.
Well, a major incident has been declared in Leicestershire by the fire service there after it helped rescue dozens of people from floods. And our Midlands correspondent Stacey Foster is in Sharnford for us tonight. Stacey, what's going on there?
Well, the fire service here has said that 59 people have been rescued today as a result of that major incident was declared this morning. There was more than 200 calls in the space of just a few hours here because of reports of flooding caused by that torrential rain here overnight last night and the thawing snow. It was felt here in this village as it was felt in many other villages across Leicestershire, but here the road through this village was impassable. The local pub once again has been completely flooded. Their Christmas party for the staff has had to be cancelled here tonight. And the landlord here says that while efforts from the local community today to remove all the water from a local farmer with his tractor have been successful, the road is now reopened, but for him and his pub, this is all far from over.
Deja vu really here. Literally 12 months to the day we've flooded again. So yeah, all hands on deck, village kicking in and helping, and just trying to save the pub again from a great New Year and a great Christmas, and then be welcome with the flooding again.
The government has said today that it is still committed to spending £2.4 billion on building and maintaining flood defences, but the Environment Minister admitted that 60,000 properties are not being protected as well as they should be, and for that reason the government want to change the way that they fund flood defences. There's not much further detail than that, other than that a consultation will be launched later this year and these changes will come into effect next year. But tonight, as more than 190 flood warnings remain in place across England, there is a sense of frustration that this is just not happening quickly enough, and people are really concerned that they need solutions now, not many months in the future.
Stacey Foster in Leicestershire, thank you. Well, Alex is here now with more on the new warning. So this is by no means over then, right?
Not yet, and snow melt in the next few days could, well, top up some of those river levels, and we could see a bit more flooding in places. But let's take a look at some of the snowfall amounts that we had over the last couple of days. Actually, we saw some pictures from County Durham there. Copley, actually, in County Durham, recorded 24 centimetres, and you can see other places seeing a fair bit, certainly enough to cause widespread disruption where that snow is still on the ground at the moment. And it is going to be going nowhere because it's going to be very cold as we head through the course of this week. Let's take a look at the air mass setup, and you can see on here the jet stream is going to be sitting to the south of the UK, and that is going to allow that cold Arctic air to continue to dig in as we head through the next few days. It's going to drag our daytime and nighttime temperatures down. In fact, nighttime temperatures will be well below freezing, so expect some severe frost. That will also cause further impacts. Any precipitation that comes through could well be on the wintry side as well. And earlier today, the Met Office issued more warnings as we head through the next couple of days. Let's get a quick check on these. Well, at the moment, we've got warnings in place across Scotland, down the western side of the UK, into Wales and also the West Country for snow and ice. Up over the tops of the hills, we could see a further 5 centimetres falling. That is enough to cause further disruption, not to mention those icy stretches, even outside of the warning area. I would go very careful indeed. And then as we head into Wednesday, we're going to see a system move up from the south. That will bump in to that cold air across the south, and it could well turn to snow. So again, the Met Office issuing a yellow weather warning for Wednesday as well. So we're not out of the woods just yet. Keep a watchful eye on the forecast.
OK, and you'll be back at the end of the programme with all the latest. OK, for the moment then, Alex, thank you.